Again, I'm just going to say hello. I'm not going to cover any time zones. You are very welcome here. We're going to be hearing a lot about the enterprise breeding system as the program goes on, so I'm not going to say anything about it at this stage. I really just want to welcome everybody who's here in the conference center in Ibadan, Nigeria, and all those people who are online. And I want to thank everybody who's been involved in this launch this week, in the training this week. I particularly want to thank Kate Drew from CIMMYT, who's been here all week, training the trainers and really getting people in IITA very familiar with EBS. The Maze team is adopting it, sort of piloting it as far as IITA is concerned. So I think in some ways this is the culmination of a lot of work. In another way, it's the start of something. The work has really been going on for a while through the Maze CRP, through the AGG, and it's now really culminating in this launch today, in which IITA is joining CIMMYT in the use of the EBS. Yes, for Maze. But it's also the start of something. We're moving into the era of the 1CG. We're moving into an era of still closer cooperation between centers, and that includes between the IITA and the CIMMYT breeding programs in Maze. And the common use of this EBS is really going to be an important part of that. So we're very happy that it's happening today. I congratulate all those involved. I thank again, including, of course, the donors, some of whom will be participating this afternoon, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, GIZ, the other donors within Crops to End Hunger, and of course, the Excellence in Breeding platform, who have played such a role in supporting, facilitating, and really bringing this through to where we see things today. So I hope that everybody enjoys the program this afternoon. And once again, you are all very welcome, and the workshop is open. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael, for that warm welcome to everyone here, and also colleagues joining us virtually. I forgot to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tushar Shah. I work with IITA, and I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. Next up, I'd like to call our business change manager from the Maze program, Dr. Wende Mengesha, to give us a message about the EBS business change management. So welcome, Dr. Wende.
Thank you, Trisha. Thank you, everyone. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for those of you here today with us in a conference room at the IITA headquarters, and our participants virtually with us from different parts of the world. Thank you for being with us during this important event. We are pleased to welcome those of you who have been with us for months now, as well as those of you who joined us recently. For the last 3.5 days, we were engaged in the training of enterprise breeding system software to manage maize breeding data for data managers, curators, breeders, and our biometricians. So the data management software for our users in IITA breeding, this is the result of a series of online consultation meetings and practices. You know, we have been engaged like over 1.5 years now, and we have different sets of meetings, consultations, practices with EBS program lead and the EBS staff placed all over the world, and It was really a very engaging process. Thank God we are here now to this launching date. The software aims at providing key input to modernization and the digitization of maize breeding program to achieve the ultimate goal of increasing genetic gain at farmers' field. As a business change manager with EBS and as a user as a breeder, I am pleased to welcome you all to the launch of EBS at IITA today. This marks a significant milestone for EBS deployment project, which started with development of the EBS together with the colleagues from CIMMYT and IRI. It has been launched at IRI and the CIMMYT. Now we are able to launch it in IITA today. EBS deployment is aligned to the Crops to End Hunger funder vision and the request of CGR centers to optimize breeding program and providing shared services to the CG-led regional breeding network. In this hybrid conference room, I would like to recognize participants from CGIAR, donor community, the private sector, and the major groups who significantly contributed towards the realization of this goal, resulting in the launch of EBS at IITA. You have all worked tirelessly for over 2 years now. With this launch, I'm sure we will also reach out many important stakeholders who are eager to use the newly launched product in the coming weeks, months, and the years. That means in IITA, we are not going to keep the software here. We are going to collaborate with our partners and NARS in private companies so that we share with them the newly improved software program for the data management and the data analysis. Dear colleagues, we all understand the importance of modernization of our breeding program in our day-to-day life and the way in which they are transforming the entire system through facilitating and easing our daily activities as data managers, breeders, and as a statistician or biometrician. Equally important is our collaboration and the partnership between public, private entities to disseminate the wider use of this important platform to help us achieve our ultimate goal of increasing production and productivity in sub-Saharan Africa and beyond. Our experience working with EBS team has convinced us that it is only through multi-stakeholder and multilateral cooperation that we can truly increase genetic gain and accelerate progress in our breeding program. So it is only through partnership and the collaborative work that we can really push for the ultimate goal of increasing productivity in agriculture and also lifting our people out of poverty. Dear participants, IITA maize breeding program would like to invite all the important players who directly or indirectly contributed to the successful launch of EBS today. Please allow me to recognize some of the important personalities who are actively involved in the development and the deployment of the software. We have a long list of persons like individuals who really contributed to today's launch day today. But I just want to pick some personalities who specially contributed toward the launch of EBS today. And we have been with them together for the last 2 years and having sometimes like 3 times a week meeting, different sets of meeting and discussing, practicing and so on. So please allow me to call the names of those persons. And I also apologize if I really pronounce your name wrongly. I just want to call Stephen Weber. He's a program leader. He was really actively involved in organizing meetings, guiding us, sending us information up to date. And I just want to say thank you, Stephen. Kate Dreher. Kate is with us today. She flew all the way from Mexico to be with us. Thank you, Kate. And she is really resourceful. And we have been engaged in a training for the last 3.5 days with Kate, and now she is with us. Thank you so much, Kate. Elizabeth Jones, I just want to appreciate Elizabeth. She was a lead and a key player in EBS development program. So I just want to say thank you so much. Eddie Paul, she enormously contributed for this day to happen. Even today, yesterday, she has been asking us through email, chatting and saying, where are you guys? What are you doing? Thank you for those encouragements and the really involvement, Eddie. Yangwa is a EIB breeding informatics lead. She was really successful in leading EBS to launch at IRI, CIMIT, and also now at IIT. Thank you, Yangwa, for the outstanding leadership you showed. Andre Moreto is EBS IT project manager. He was really a good manager. He guided us. He has been with us on this EBS for the last 18 months and so. And Marco Karkainen, EBS product lead. I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you, Marco, also for your enormous contribution for EBS to happen. So I wish you all very successful launch day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Wende, for those remarks and for recognizing such a wide and very successful and very fruitful collaborations across the years, and we look forward to having more of that. Next up, we're going to have a message from team members in the form of a video about what the EBS is and what it means to the maize breeding program as a whole. So colleagues from IITA will be on that video, and we are about to play that now. So. The EBS, the Enterprise Breeding System, is a centralized sort of workflow-based system, which is really going to help the maize breeding program because it's all going to be in a central sort of server.
It has a lot of functionalities which enhances the work, starting from nursery, how you do your crosses, how you harvest even those crosses, going to the field, how you lay out the field and experiments, and then advancement of the lines and the advanced lines which you already develop into products. So all these functionalities are being captured in EBS.
It also helps IITA maize breeding manage day-to-day activities through all phases of their programs, from studio design to selection decisions.
We also see it as a standardized system that we use to measure genetic gain in real time. And also it will be essential that new generations of breeders who come after us will easily find the data for the maize program in one place. So it will improve accuracy in terms of use of data. It will also improve cost effectiveness because the data is in one place. The breeding programs will become more efficient and very, very effective when we implement this.
It's really going to make work easy, reduce time, reduce cost of labor, help us to improve, the maize breeding workflows in IITA.
And the entire workflow is going to be enhanced and optimized to the maximum. The national programs who are also into the maize program or other breeding programs are coming to be on board. So data will be easily shared between partners and between programs so that we can all be on the same boat.
And it is going to increase the amount of digitalization in IITA maize program. When we say digitalization, it is highly correlated with facilitating something, doing something in a faster rate. One can go to field, capture data, the same time or the same day, transfer the data to the server because you do it on your tablet and then you send it to your data management. There will not be any like fear of losing your data.
With maize or with any other breeding program, data is the lifeline to that particular program. So if you don't have an efficient system that is able to manage your data well, you are going to lag behind in most of your activities.
Yes, already we're seeing that we've curated a large amount of data coming from the early 80s, which was actually sitting on individual computers. Eventually that will be moved to the shared repositories of the 1CGIAR, and yes, definitely the data will be more accessible, more findable, more interoperable, and reusable.
So people who are working, for example, the maize breeders in IITA, they're the early adopters, and they are permitted to log into it. But in a way, it is also going to be related to our colleagues who work on maize in other centers, so that everything is coming together. Probably that's answering one of the questions with the 1CG.
So it is a significant milestone for the maize breeding program at IITA. But they are moving from where they're managing all their data in spreadsheets, in Excel-driven systems, but now to an advanced database system that is easy to use.
So no need for you going somewhere looking for data. Everything is going to be in the database. So EBS is a one-stop shop for data management system.
EBS is like the central currency of breeding, basically, because all the breeding operations, all the data coming from the breeding programs will all be vetted through the EBS. So all that data will pass through the EBS, the checks and balances will be there, but also at the end, the analytics and the decision support tools will all be part of the EBS, so that it'll become sort of the central currency of the breeding programs. Great. So on behalf of the colleagues who you saw in the video, I'd next like to call up John Derrera, who's the head of our breeding program here at IITA. So he's the head of breeding, sorry, at IITA. And followed by that will be Simon. They will be giving a short presentation about the EBS roadmap at IITA. So what where we've come from and where we're going to. So welcome, John.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Trusha, for the introduction. As you've heard, we are quite excited about the launch of the EBS today. And you hear from various speakers that the EBS is more like the central bank of all our information in the maize system, and of course in the other crops. So I'll give a highlight of the journey that we've embarked on to realize the gains that we are talking about in the system. But before I get there, I'll just give an overview of the enterprise breeding system. It comprises of the core breeding modules and also the management modules. What we are going to do immediately to start adopting those capabilities that are existing already, such as experiment creation, managing experiments, data collection, and harvesting, and also other management capabilities like germplasm search, seed search, traits, and of course the list manager. Additional capabilities are coming, of course, that will be added, like seed inventory management, taking of seed envelopes. We'll be adopting these as we go. Okay, just looking at the overview of the journey that we've embarked on. We started last year from mid-year to fourth quarter of the year, working on the EBS, migrating our data into the system, working in collaboration with CIMIT breeders. And we've managed to do that. And as you see today, we are in the second quarter of 2022. We are going live today with EBS systems. So the adoption begins with the training that has just ended of the trainers. That is for maize, but we'll move on to the other crops that are coming. The legumes program will be the next set of crops that are coming on board into EBS. These are cowpeas and soybean. So we'll start by evaluating the situation of their data, migrate all their data fully into EBS, into BMS, where they are working currently, and then that will make it easy to migrate it into ABS. That is by the end of next year, 2023. We also going to be moving our roots, tuber, and banana crops into the system, but that will happen much later. We'll start by exploiting the analytics part capabilities, which are quite universal across crops, whilst at the same time, the developers are working on the specific requirements that are required in EBS to handle the roots and tuber crops. That's what is called RTBs. Just a highlight of the general achievements so far that we've got in the digitization project IITA. First and foremost is the implementation of the EBS by the maize breeding program, the one we are celebrating today. We've also achieved a lot in terms of capacity building on digitization, both at IITA and our enabling partners, including the NAS and the private sector. Stewardship on digitization equipment is increased, and also data management and bioinformatics has been shared across crops. There's an increase in that area. We've also made achievement in terms of setting up bioinformatics infrastructure like the server and systems administration. Most importantly, the resources by the server are utilized by multidisciplinary teams that support the breeders at IITA. These include molecular, biometrics, high throughput phenotyping, modeling, and agronomy. Like we have highlighted in the previous speakers, we have not worked on this journey alone. We've worked with our partners, including our sister centers like CIMIT. We work together in migrating data, data curation, standardization of the traits and measurements, and training. We also worked very closely with module leaders in the Excellence in Breeding platform, in acquiring digitization equipment, software adoption, and most importantly, developing the key performance indicators. Also with support from the Crops to End Hunger funders, including Gates Foundation, Australian Aid, the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, UK Aid, US Aid, with all that support put together through the CTH, we've managed to acquire the necessary resources to support the EBS deployment at IITA. This includes data managers, data curators, server infrastructure, and the systems administrator. So these are the highlights that I can give. I will now hand over to Simon to give some additional information. Thank you. Thank you, Tusha.
Thanks very much, John. Just to introduce Simon. So as John mentioned, the resources from CTH has allowed us to bring on expertise in data management. So in that regard, I'd like to introduce Simon Imoro. He's the breeding data manager who's been employed on the digitization project, and he's been one of the key drivers for the EBS implementation, together with, of course, the maize team for this particular launch and for the adoption and implementation of EBS. So welcome, Simon, and please.
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you, John. Yes, on behalf of the maize team, I would like to just highlight the road in preparing our data and migrating it to EBS. We've already had a lot of efforts that have gone through this digitization process in getting our data into EBS. We started by looking at our existing data. As highlighted before, the data was stored in spreadsheet, not standardized, in different formats. Pedigrees were uncreated, and the data was not shared among teams. So we started looking at that and how to get this data standardized to ensure that the data is accurate, of high integrity, and of high quality, so that we can be able to migrate it successful to the EBS. So what we did was we started looking at our germplasm, which is the key information for any breeding program to start work. And we went through all our existing archives in Excel spreadsheets, and we were able to identify 12,000 unique names, which are standardized from 1989 to 2021 trials. We standardized this, and they're all migrated to EBS. We also look at other core data that goes with experiments, because before you can set an experiment in a EBS or in a database system, you need to get the metadata right, because the experiment relies on this metadata. So we look at countries, locations, fields, traits, and the actual trials which were archived. So among all the countries that we saw in our database, we are able to identify 52 of them from various experiments from our partners, our collaborators, and IITA trials. And we standardize these ones. Locations, we identify about 480 of them across all these trials that existed. And we also look at fields, about 379 of them based in Ibadan here. So those of us who are in Ibadan, you walk around, you see the fields are labeled. So this is what we are talking about, so that we can be able to map our experiments to these particular fields in the database. We also look at traits that we measure in our experiments. We have over about 186 of them for maize currently in the database. For IITA, we highlighted the traits that we use in our experiment mostly. So we went through our archives and we identified 91 of them, which we have standardized and moved into EBS. For the trials, these are existing trials that we have done so far from all the years I highlighted here. So after doing all this, looking at this data in the survey format, we try to now standardize them to move into EBS. So in regards to germplasm, what we did was to look at the names, identify all names that come in different formats, and we standardize them, give them unique names and codes. And we have done 100% of that work in terms of cleaning the names, creating them, standardizing them. And we have uploaded about 95 of these in the database. What is left is those that came from recent crosses and trials, which we haven't migrated to. This will soon be migrated to the database. Countries, location sites are all been fully migrated into the database, fully standardized. With the locations, we also standardize along partners like CIMIT, which we all work in same areas. We try to assign a single code so that we don't duplicate things, because we are sharing the same database, and standardize them by giving them a unique two-letter two-letter code assigned to these locations, and also give them coordinates. About 90% of these locations and sites have GPS coordinates associated with them in the database. And then we also have our fields, which I mentioned before. These are all fully standardized and they are in the database. Traits are also fully standardized. These are all in the database. And then what is ongoing is our prioritized historical trial data. With this, I mentioned that we have over 3,000, almost 4,000 trials. We are looking at standardizing this existing data in terms of looking at the traits, values within each trace and interdependency traits to make sure the data is of high quality before we can migrate them to the database. So we have done about 35% of that. And by prioritize historical data, I mean the most recent ones, starting from the recent year back to 2010. These are what we prioritize. From 2021 archive data back to 2010, we are trying to make sure that this most recent data is fully loaded, cleaned, and loaded into a database. So we have done about 35% of that. And with upload, we haven't uploaded into data yet, but templates have been designed and standardized to be able to migrate this SWOT data successfully into the database. So we're just testing that. And very soon we'll have all our data in the database. We did not come to this point without capacity building and training. Like we've heard, there are several meetings have gone on training and workshops have gone on before we get here. So we have trained about 7 breeders, 3 data managers, 3 biometricians, and I must mention that these efforts of data creation takes the effort of all these people. I was very happy to see the biometrics unit develop a very simple R script for us to be able to look through all our files and identify some inconsistency, make them, and clean that easily. This could have taken us a longer time if not for their efforts. So the team has been fully trained. We participated in several EBS release sprints and demonstration sessions. We also had our own internal reviews and sessions for testing and giving feedback to the development team. And I must say that all these early adopters, we just had a full 3.5 days training in EBS and all the core models, which John had mentioned earlier. So in terms of experimental creation, design, data collection, harvesting, and all these core models, we are fully trained, we are equipped, and we are sure that we can run with EBS without going back to our normal way of doing things. So we also have access to the production server and the evaluation server where we still can test things before we move them to the production environment. So then what next after the launching? We would ensure that we continue training of staff on existing features of EBS and the future features, capabilities that will be deployed later. Because like I said, we don't want to go back. So we have to make sure that we are constantly up to date in regards to features of EBS and new capabilities that are coming in so that we can be able to leverage on them to be able to deploy our experiments successfully. We are also implementing at least 80% of all the trials that we're going to do this year. We could have given ourselves 100%, but this is a good mark. I think we're already at A because some of the trials are already in existence. They have already been established. So at least 80% of the trials for this year for maize is going to be implemented in EBS. We'll continue the creation of historical trials data to be able to load them successfully into the database. And then we're also, yes, like I said, loading about 80% of that too by the end of this year. That's our target. And then we will continue to engage cowpea and soybean teams on migration to EBS from BMS. Like I highlighted before, this is the roadmap. Talks or initial engagement we had discussion with the leads of these teams last year. So we would engage them further on preparing their data to be migrated to EBS. We're not leaving our RTB house. We would also continue to collect requirements for RTB crops to be migrated to EBS. For now, they can use the capabilities of the analytic capabilities of EBS to analyze their data, but this is not a standalone system. But then future, we are planning to get all their requirements addressed and all their workflows also fine-tuned into the format of EBS so that they can be with us on the same database. We'll continue to strengthen collaborations with our partners like CIMIT. Thanks to them, they have released kit to us today. We're very grateful to CIMIT to come over with us to give us training and equip us for this EBS journey. EIB, CTH, and other in our EBS team for the development of the features. We continue to collaborate with them, and we hope that they work successfully to deploy more features of EBS for us so that we'll have a one-stop shop for all our breeding activities. So this is what we are planning to do next after the launch here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Simon. Thanks for that overview, John and Simon, about where the IITA data management plan and for the maize breeding team for the EBS, what the next steps are following the launch. So as we all know, the last 2 years have been an unusual sort of 2 years, but I think it's been a good opportunity for us here to get our house in order. And that's what basically Simon and John have presented, how we managed to collaborate with all the external partners with virtually and try and get the maize breeding program data in order for migration to the EBS. So thanks very much for that. So next up, we have remarks from a number of stakeholders, including next up is the IITA senior management. As we launch the EBS, there are also other launches going on. I understand just like excellence in breeding, there's also excellence in agronomy. And unfortunately, that's why Bernard could not be with us in person, but he's kindly recorded a message on behalf of the IITA senior management. So Bernard Van Lau, he's the hub director for Central Africa, and he's also the interim deputy director general for research. So next up, we'll have a video message from Bernard about the EBS launch. So please, if we could have that video.
The enterprise breeding system is an important milestone for IIT's maize breeding programs, and especially related to its accuracy and efficiency. From what I understand, there's a number of key features of EBS. It's first of all easy to use, performing a lot of breeding tasks, analysis and decision making that's necessary for an efficient program. It's powerful and able to combine multiple data sets for analysis. It's interoperable and easy to connect key apps and other databases. It's easy to customize workflows from available sets of tools. And lastly, it is field ready in the sense that offline data collection and uploading later can happen without loss of data integrity. All this will make sure that this is very, very essential in facilitating knowledge exchange and communication, which are key features in the One CGIAR reorganization. The EBS roadmap will also early on include other IITA legume breeding programs. We anticipate that the capacity achieved by the maize team will spill over into the cowpea and soybean breeding programs in the relatively short term. And in the future, shared services will thus improve support and communication. We understand that the adoption of EBS will enable, number one, data standardization and integrity. Number two, centralized data storage and sharing. Number three, agility because of readily available data for analysis and decision making. Number four, efficiency and effectiveness of breeding workflow management. And lastly, ease of succession planning, as data in one database system is easily passed to the next generation of breeders. I want to conclude by saying that the EBS implementation has the full support of IIT senior management. The management will do whatever it can to make this a success, and I wish to congratulate you with the launching of this important tool.
So thanks to Bernard, and on behalf of the team here, we'd like to acknowledge all the support that we received from the senior management to make this EBS launch possible. Next, we would like to call upon our very close collaborators with the Excellence in Breeding and the ABI initiative of the One CGIAR. I'd like to call upon Dr. Michael Quinn to give us a few remarks on behalf of the EIB, the Excellence in Breeding, and also the ABI initiative. So, yes, we see you. Thanks.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well, thanks.
Okay, I will share my screen. I've got a couple of slides to put up. Thank you very much for the opportunity to address the group here today. Sorry, while I just get myself in order here. Okay, can you see my screen? Is it in the right presentation mode? Probably walk away from the... Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Okay, great,
yes,
thanks.
We see it.
Okay, thank you. My name's Michael Quinn. I'm the Director of Excellence in Breeding, and I'm also the lead of the Accelerated Breeding Initiative. I'm very sorry that I'm not able to be there in person today, but I really do appreciate the opportunity to present to you all today and to congratulate the team on this this important event. So that's really the first thing I wanted to say, to have a huge congratulations to IITA for the preparations to get to today, with all the preparations with the data, and to be ready to adopt and take on a system like this, to the whole to Simon, John, Trishar, Michael, the whole IITA senior leadership team and IITA breeding teams, just a huge congratulations. And to the EBS development and deployment team also to get us to here. And I mean, it's been an absolutely massive effort. And so huge congratulations to you as well. I mean, just to list a few of the names, to congratulations to Andre and Younghwa and Marco and Kate and Stefan and Edie. And it's, I could go on and on. There's been a tremendous effort from many, many people. And I'm sorry for those that have not listed off. So I want to first start with a bit of a high-level description. This is just a very short presentation. I'll only go for a few minutes, but I want to start with a high-level look at what the goals of Accelerated Breeding Initiative and Crops to End Hunger are. And it's the goals of both, because the Accelerated Breeding Initiative was developed around the goals of Crops to End Hunger. And really, at a high level, it's these two. It's to increase the rate of genetic gain in farmers' fields, and to reduce the area-weighted average age of varieties in farmers' fields. And why do we need to do this? Well, if we look at, just to take maize and wheat as an example, then if we look at the rate of increase in production historically to today, which is where these dotted lines start, then if we were to extrapolate those, which is going to be difficult in its own right when you consider the impact of climate change, of water, nutrient, energy scarcity and diseases. I mean, these downward pressures are at risk of pushing us onto this red dotted line, and which will be even worse than extrapolating the current rate of progress. But even if we were to overcome those and we were to maintain this rate, there's still a huge gap between what the projected demand is and where we will be in order to feed the future population. And this is just for food security, before thinking about poverty alleviation, nutrition, and other impacts of our work. So production gains are critically needed. So this is just starting at a really high level. And so and of course, I mean, this uses maize and wheat just as an example, but of course it's not only the staples that roots, tubers, bananas and legumes all play a critical role for food security and for poverty alleviation and nutrition. So if we drill down from here and look at what we're trying to achieve, how we're trying to achieve these production gains through breeding, then there's been a lot of talk already about what can be done with a tool like EBS in terms of the data management specifically, and I mean, it goes well beyond that. I mean, it supports analyses, it supports label printing, and it supports the digitization of the whole breeding process. And so what does that in turn enable? And so I wanted to just pick out just a small number of examples of the outputs that are written into the Accelerated Breeding Initiative proposal. And if we look at these, every one of them are supported by improved data management. If we're wanting to reduce breeding cycle time, this is supposed to be a separate dot point. If we're wanting to implement genome-assisted rapid cycle recurrent selection, optimizing breeding schemes, that is putting in faster breeding cycles, increasing accuracy and looking at diversity management, modified trial designs and analyses supporting increased heritability, trials that better represent the target population and environments, improved data analyses, reduced costs, QA, QC. All of these most of these, and probably all of them, can only be achieved with good data management, which requires a data management system. And indeed, many of these goals are quite impossible without that. Just to take some examples, trials better representing the TPE. If you're able to manage the data better, if you're able to more easily put in complex designs, if you're more easily able to print labels and manage the trials, then it just makes it that much easier to implement things like sparse testing, testing over a large number of environments, which in turn can lead to earlier selection of identification of parents for recycling, which touches on this point and this one here. So it all starts to starts to feed on itself, and it starts with better data management. So looking at what is supported by taking on and adopting a tool like EBS, I'm super excited to see what the state of the IATA breeding programs are going to be and what they will have achieved in 12 months from today, knowing that improved data management will have played an important role in the success of these programs, or the furthering of the success of these programs. And it's not just these things here that we're trying to do. I mean, there's obviously many other goals and outputs in the initiative, but one of the main ones is evolved partnerships, particularly with NARS. And this requires an ability to share the data. We can't achieve that objective until we've got better data management, so that data can be very readily shared between partners. So that's just one more super important goal, which is supported by this. Now, of course, EIB's success, excellence in breeding's success, is entirely linked to the success of the breeding programs, and so adoption of EBS at IATA represents a significant step towards evolution of IATA breeding programs, and so therefore also an important step towards furthering the success of the programs, and so by association, excellence in breeding as well. So as the Director of Excellence in Breeding, I'm super excited and just so very pleased to have gotten today and to have this launch event and for IATA to be taking on this tool. At the end of the day, we develop germplasm and information, and that's what we do in breeding and data. That's the information. But and a tool like EBS, it supports both. I've explained here, it supports the development of germplasm, how it supports the optimization of the breeding process that develops the germplasm, but also, it is a data management system, and so it supports the development and sharing of the information that's developed. And just my final point before I finish, I could probably turn this off. I still remember the day that as a young breeder, when I started out in a very small, it was just me in an upstream parent development program. I started my breeding career, and in those days, a lot of my data was just with pen and paper. It was a one-man show, and then I went to a full breeding program, and I still remember the day where I came back from. We'd spent a whole week collecting disease data, and I saw my colleagues plugging in their phone, which they had used for data capture, and uploading it directly into the data management system. And it blew me away that, I had never come across that before. It was very early days of my breeding career, and from that day on, I've really appreciated what can be achieved through this, and to think that the breeders at IATA are going to now have the ability to be able to do something similar, to utilize this sort of technology, and to, like was said earlier, be able to just collect the data and that same day load it straight into the system, for no fear of it being lost, for no fear of there being sort errors. It's such a powerful thing for driving the success of the breeding program. And so with that, I thank you for the opportunity to address you all, and huge congratulations, and thanks very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Michael. Thanks for giving us that kind of high-level overview and also bringing it down to what the specifics of the EBS and how that can help in achieving the kind of high-level goals that you pointed out at the beginning. So thanks very much, Michael, and thanks to the whole EIB team. As Wendy already mentioned, it's quite an extensive team. We've had interactions with all the modules in the EIB over time, as also part of the digitization project. But one of the key modules in that is module 5, which is on data management, biometrics, and bioinformatics. And I guess that is where the EBS development is housed. And also as we move towards the One CGIAR, the initiative for shared services, which is called the N4ETTS, Network for Enabling Shared Tools and Technologies. Maybe it's not in the order I said, but that's the acronym. And on behalf of the EBS team, the wider EBS team, and the N4ETTS initiative, I'd like to call upon Dr. Yang Hua and Stefan Weber, maybe in that order, to give us their remarks about the EBS launch and the engagement with the EBS team. So Yang Hua.
Okay, thank you very much, Tushar. So I'll just start publicizing this right now. We've changed the name of the initiative because it's so cumbersome to say. So now it is called Breeding Resources. Very simple, Breeding Resources. All right, and I apologize for having subjected everyone to it for the last few months. All right, so hello everyone, and I thank you very much, IITA, for this event. And I know that I can speak for the entire EBS team when I say that we've been so lucky to have our partners at IITA at every level, from John Derrera's leadership of the breeding programs to all of the staff working on digitization, training, data curation, data management. It's so many people. And the drive and commitment to modernizing and optimizing the breeding pipelines has been truly inspiring. I began in this role about 1.5 years ago. And from my learning of the history of data management in the CGIAR has been a long road. But when I look around today, I think that we are, I've been asked to speak up a little bit. Okay, hopefully this is better. I think that when I look around today, we are at an inflection point of some sort when it comes to data management, where many efforts to improve and change our organization are coming together. If you just think about where we were 18 months ago, we were still in early development phase with this software. We didn't have, this broad vision of how One CGIAR breeding was going to look like, that we could sort of base our design of software around. And our collaboration mechanisms with our stakeholders and customer base, the users, that wasn't settled. It wasn't routine. But now we have a maze instance, a full production version of the software that is released at both CIMMYT, at CIMMYT for use by both CIMMYT and IITA. New features are going to be developed with the full input and validation by the users. Given the processes that have been set up and the involvement by our partners, I think we can all be really comfortable that whatever development efforts go forward from now will be really fit for purpose. The other thing that I want to just note is this: we have a database instance that's shared between CIMMYT and IITA maze. This is a fundamental step forward toward the kind of breeding programs envisioned by accelerated breeding, and that kind of agreement, the coordination, the shared data sharing, like 18 months ago, that didn't exist, and that's really exciting to think about. And this shared database is going to be the foundation. It's going to set up the maze breeding networks in One CGIAR. For our team, the EBS team, enabling network reading with the many, many partners involved in network reading, that is our key principle for development. And that means we want to make the software accessible and we want to make it cheap. And that is where we will drive software development going forward from now. But that's just the software. The software does not have intrinsic value. The value comes only when the software succeeds in improving your workflows and your decisions. And I am well aware that the software development it's a relatively easy part of this journey. It's the hard part, though it's a part that you're doing. It's the integration of the new technologies into complex, time-constrained breeding processes, working to improve things simultaneously as you're producing new varieties and products. That's the really difficult part. So I would really like to applaud and congratulate IITA on where it is in its adoption journey towards data management software. I can really see the momentum developing, and it's a privilege to be able to support you in this path. Thank you.
Thanks, Yanghua. Stefan Weber, who is the project manager for the EBS, and also has done some consultancy work here at IITA. Please, if you could give us your message, please.
Yes. Well, do you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, very good.
Could you kindly talk a little closer? It's a bit faint.
Okay, it's better like this?
Yes,
okay.
That's better.
So first of all, thanks to the team. It's all about the people, and thanks for Wenda, basically for mentioning the people on the team who basically accomplished this. So this is a day that makes me very proud, and it should make the team very proud. The thanks goes really to the people on the team. And if there's one thing from my side, when we started to build up the partnership between the breeders and the developers, I think this day today really shows that this partnership works, and that's great. That's a good path to continue on. And for the outlook, I just want to say a breeding organization has 3 assets. The first asset is germplasm, the second is data, and the third is people. And I said it's all about the people. You have breeding processes. Those processes consume and produce both germplasm and data, and they are operated by people. Now, EBS is really a key enabler for the modern breeding, and it is a key enabler for what 1CG wants to accomplish. You heard what Michael said from the ambitions. Why? It will make it easier for people to exchange data. It will harmonize data standards and process workflows, which will make it easier for people to collaborate and scale. And it will make it easier to collaborate between breeding teams and also between the CG and NARS breeding networks. And this is basically for the value of this system really coming through. And thanks again from my side. It has been an incredible journey, and we look forward to release more functionality. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Yanghua, and also Stefan, for those remarks. It's good to know that we have a new, much simpler term for N4ETTS now, that it's breeding resources. And also thanks, Stefan, for those remarks. At this point, I think we would like to open up to the sort of wider virtual community. If anyone has any comments to share. I'm just looking at the chat over here on the screen. There is some comment already from Jetta, Penema Kunzu, saying what they really appreciate what IITA is doing. Anyone else online who would like to maybe say a few words? Gustavo saying thanks, congrats. Gustavo, thanks to you also for all the digitization equipment. That's part of what John had mentioned about increasing the stewardship of digitization. So we received from EIB Module 4, which Gustavo leads, a lot of equipment, including tablets, printers, labels, and also the consumables are now on their way. So that has, you know, in addition to the digitization project, that has really enabled across all the different programs, a lot of stewardship, increasing the stewardship of digital equipment across all the breeding programs. And that includes both within IITA, but also key partners, for example, in Uganda, NARO, and in Ghana, CSIR and SARI, who have been on that, who have benefited from the digitization equipment. So I'm just reading out a few more comments from Agre Paterne. He says this will really help to harmonize the breeding activities and sharing data and information. Yes. Patrick Ongom, we're happy for this new initiative. I'm optimistic and looking forward to have this operational in cowpea and other crops. So Patrick is our cowpea molecular breeder based in Kano. And as we mentioned, as part of the roadmap, we will be having cowpea and the other legume crops move on to the EBS over the next few quarters. So thanks very much. Those are the comments we have. In terms of the schedule, we now have comments from Gary. We understand he may be well, it's early for Gary. He's based in Seattle, so it's indeed quite early for him. And the comments from Sarah Smith, also from GIZ. Unfortunately, they're not able to participate in the Zoom meeting. So we have asked her to send us a few words, which we would be able to read out. And she said she will catch up with us on the recording of this particular event and all the presentations that have taken place. Anyone else online who may have any other comments, would like to send us some reactions? We have comment from Edie Paul, who's been a key collaborator and colleague on this launch, particularly, and in terms of the implementation. Very inspiring ceremony. We look forward to working with cowpea and other crops for the adoption. Thanks, Edie, for all your support. As Wendy already mentioned, she's been behind the scenes on the whole launch and the training as well, and helping us coordinate all of that. We have bi-weekly meetings with that team. It's quite a multidisciplinary and geographically sort of spread out team, but it's always a pleasure to get together with all of them on a Thursday afternoon in my time zone. So thank you all for the comments. I think in the interest of time, we will move on and probably go ahead with the official launch. And this is the point where I'd like to call upon our most senior maize, the senior maize breeder and the lead of the maize breeding or maize crop improvement team, Dr. Abebe Menker, to come forward, please, and say a few words and allow us to launch. We will then have a slight change to the schedule. Gary will be joining us, unfortunately, after we've had this launch, but we look forward to comments from Gary Atlin at that point. So Dr. Menker, please say a few words, and you need to cut the virtual ribbon to officially launch the EBS for the maize program here at IITA.
Thank you, Tarusha. I'm extremely delighted to see so many people, from far and near joining us today to launch the EBS. I would like to be very brief in terms of the history of data management in IITA. IITA had undergone so many changes in curating, management, and analysis of data. Our program first used AgroBase, which is a proprietary program, and then moved to Fieldbook for running, managing data and running randomization, and also some standard analysis. We have also adopted a lot of programs, SaaS programs, which were developed at Summit, and also some proprietary programs to analyze our data in IITA. So we have been in a situation where the data management, the data curation was separate from the data analysis and the data management. When the maize CRP was established, I think in the last phase of the maize CRP, the maize management committee decided to have a common platform to be used by both Summit and IITA, so that we can integrate not only data curation and management, but also, extensive analysis of the data set. When is the new data management platform. I would like to thank EIB for supporting the hiring of Simon and Olalekan, who really have been a wonderful addition, to the team. And the team had constantly interacted with me and other breeders, when they were standardizing, the nomenclatures and standardizing, the data curation and standardizing the pedigrees and so on and so forth. So we have been part of the team, we have been guiding and supporting and interacting with them in an open manner. But I would like to say that once the system has been established, I hope the system will also include some features that would facilitate particularly the dissemination of elite germplasm to partners across the globe. If it is integrated, with GIS and other, softwares, we may have an opportunity to utilize the very rich data that we have accumulated over the years, for ease of dissemination. I want to say that so many people have really contributed to the curation and deposition of the data in IITA. over many years, there were a number of database managers who were supported either by IITA or by the consortium research program, who put a lot of their time, bringing the data together. At this juncture, I would like to thank Kate, Trusha, and the IITA team for spending so much of their energy and time to bring the EBS to the present level. And I would like to wish them also continued progress, continued strides to bring this the EBS into its successful completion. Congratulations to what I call, the high octane team for making so much stride and bringing, the EBS to the current level. And I hope at the end of the day, we're not the only ones who will be benefiting, and also our partners will have the share of the cake in the future. Thank you very much.
Wow, that's excellent. Thank you so much. And those fireworks were really from high octane to sort of very, celebratory sort of fireworks over there. Just for a quick moment, we've been talking about this high octane team. We have a very big internal team over here. Just so everyone can see them on the screen, and we take this a quick opportunity to have a quick photograph internally. Those who've joined virtually, please don't go away. We still have remarks coming from Sarah Smith and Gary Atlin. But if I can invite colleagues in the room to quickly just come up on stage. We have a quick photo, and also if the web team could kindly project this so that we can have a quick peek at so many individuals. Obviously, the list is very big, who we would like, who have been a key part of this launch event. There's more on the chat. Comment from Bodo, big congratulations. Yes, so maybe on the stage behind, and the web team can just focus on. This way.
It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So thanks to everyone online for that, for patiently waiting. I think you got a glimpse of the sort of team. For today, we're the blue team. We have some people who refuse to be a part of the blue team, but I won't name names. Next, I'd like to call upon Sylvia Oyinola. She's going to be giving us the message from Sarah Smith, who is the program officer at the federal ministry, the GIZ, which is a part of the consortium of funding and development partners of the Crops to End Hunger initiative. So Sarah has sent a message, and Sylvia will read it out to us on behalf of Sarah. So Sylvia, please.
Thank you all. Sorry. Dear colleagues, my name is Sarah Schmidt from GIZ in Germany, and I'm responsible for the German funding to the Crops to End Hunger that is closely working with Excellence in Breeding to modernize the plant breeding programs. I would have loved to join you for this launch today, but for various technical reasons, this was not possible, neither in person nor virtually. These are times of a lot of changes with digitization, breeding program modernization, and the 1CG reform. I am proud that in addition to all these changes, you take up the challenge of a new breeding software. Digitization is a major priority for Germany, and we also support the digitization efforts of breeding. EBS offers the opportunity to document and design your breeding experiments. As with every change, there will be challenges when you start using EBS and moments when you think it might be easier to go back to the old system. I encourage you today to take the time and patience to discover the advantages that EBS offers you to organize, design, document, and facilitate your daily breeding work. And I look forward to hearing your experience, learnings, and maybe frustrations, but also successes with the EBS software in the near future. Sending you the best wishes from Germany and hoping to have the chance to discuss EBS and other projects with you soon in person. Best wishes, Sarah.
Thank you, Sylvia, and thank you to Sarah for being very accommodating and sending us at very short notice the kind message that she has sent. Indeed, we look forward to opportunities for further discussion about our future roadmap and also overall sort of the plans for the enterprise breeding system at IITA and wider for all of our crops. So next up, we have Dr. Gary Atlin, who should be joining us anytime shortly, I think in a couple of minutes. So in the meantime, what I will do is just go through a few of the comments that we have received on the chat. And please, if anyone would like to say anything, kindly unmute or raise your hands, and we should be able to unmute you from here. But just going through some of the comments that have come up. There was a comment coming from Michael saying, thanks to CTEH funders, GIED, FCDO, USAID funds for being able to hire Simon. Yes, we also appreciate that a lot. And of course, BMGF for bulk of funding for EBS, but also USAID through the CTEH. So yes, a number of funding partners who've made this possible with their support. Bodo Trognitz, he says, big congratulations. So Bodo is our resident EIB colleague over here in West Africa. He says, big congratulations. Let's hold up the great spirit. The launching of the EBS is not only an achievement, but also a commitment. Yes, I think you've heard right from senior management to all the colleagues, to all the team that you saw over here. We are committed to this. It's a commitment for maize to provide the blueprint for more crops to come. So yes, maize is kind of the pilot for this at IITA, at least for other crops. Olakunle Sansa, this is a great milestone which will provide an insight, access, and good direction for future breeders. Hope to see this implemented for cowpea. So there is support coming from the cowpea team that they are ready to implement this. From Asrat, who is our lead yam breeder, congratulations, IITA, maize team, big achievement. Congratulations. So lots of congratulations from the wider community that is online at the moment. So next up, I would like to call upon Dr. Gary Atlin. He's the Senior Program Officer at the Gates Foundation and a close colleague and collaborator, particularly on maize. Gary, if you want to, yes, there we go. So it's great to have you in person. And please, Gary, your remarks about the EBS launch.
I'll just take a minute of your time. Thank you very much. Hi, Tushar. Very nice to see you. Very good to see all the colleagues. We are very excited to see the progress on breeding informatics generally and breeding modernization generally at IITA. I think I'd like to start with that. You know, my understanding is today we're celebrating the launch of the enterprise breeding system for maize at IITA, and I think you may be ahead of CIMMYT in your launch. I'm not sure. That's very nice to see. But it's also important to recognize that breeding information management has been a priority for many programs for a number of years. You know, a number of programs, the RTB programs have adopted the breed-based system and been working quite successfully with it for a long time. You know, a number of other programs have been using the BMS. The leadership of the research leadership of IITA have been very supportive of the breeding acceleration agenda. I know you've got a very successful collaboration ongoing with Bayer on a number of different breeding processes, and are working closely with the Excellence in Breeding platform on optimizing pipelines and using the facilities that have been developed for low-cost genotyping. So just overall, very impressive push on breeding modernization across IITA. The adoption of the enterprise breeding system, which is a complement to and over time likely a successor to some of the systems that we're currently using, is a really big step. This system has been designed for easy maintenance, easy deployment from the cloud, as I understand it, and will have greater and greater functionality over time. And as you know, we need these systems in order to be able to really exploit the benefits of genomic selection, of applying genomic information in breeding pipelines. The ability to apply the genomic relationship matrix in a breeding pipeline is to the process of identifying parents with high breeding value. Oh, it says my connection is unstable. Can you still hear me? Are we okay? All right. I don't hear any results, but you can. Good. Okay.
Yes,
very
we
good.
can hear you.
Okay, I'll take one more minute and wrap up. But we need these systems to be able to apply genomic data, and having the genomic data available, particularly in early stages, stage 1 agronomic testing, is transformational to the way we design breeding programs. It's not just an add-on. We can use the genomic relationship matrix essentially to replace replication of the selection unit at the first stage of testing, cutting out years of evaluation before we make our selection decision, and really accelerating the cycle. And it's acceleration of the cycle that's going to deliver higher rates of genetic gain in farmers' fields in the face of a rapidly changing climate and rapidly changing commercial conditions. IITA is at the front of this effort in maize and in all your other mandate crops. You're really leading the charge for modernization of public breeding systems for Africa. So I'd like to thank you for your efforts, the efforts of the EIB under under these difficult circumstances. You know, the work that you do is always difficult, but it's been extremely difficult over the past couple of years. We at the Gates Foundation recognize this. We recognize and thank you for your efforts, and we'll be continuing to support you through this, through the difficulties of the COVID situation, for the difficulties created by the 1CG merger process, which will help us in the end, but is complicated and time-consuming to get through while we're in the middle of it. So thanks again to the biometrics, IT teams, breeding teams at IITA, at the EIB for this big step forward. So best of luck to you in your work and in the rest of this implementation. And the Gates Foundation is fully supportive of your efforts. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Gary. And we appreciate all the support in IITA's effort for modernization, all the support from the Gates Foundation, but also, as mentioned earlier, the larger, wider consortium of the CTEH. As you mentioned, we also have a very fruitful and productive collaboration with Bayer on the modernizing breeding project as well. So thanks, Gary, for those words of encouragement and for all the support from the foundation and the consortium as well. So as those of you who were online, you've already seen we had a scheduling change. So we've actually done the official launch with Dr. Abebe Menker. Now I'd like to call upon Dr. Leena Tripathi. She's our hub director at IITA for the East Africa hub, and she's also the lead investigator for the biotechnology program based in Kenya, although currently she's in Kenya, but normally based in Dar es Salaam. So Leena, please, for some closing remarks on the launching of the EBS.
Thanks, Tushar. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, clearly. I think just in the room, we need to turn up the volume a bit.
Okay. Thanks, Tushar. So it's been a pleasure being with all of you today virtually for the launch of the enterprise breeding system software to manage maize breeding data. Thanks for inviting me to attend this celebration. So I would first of all like to congratulate the team with the launching of the EBS. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our colleague from IITA, CIMMYT, and EIB for working hard on this for almost 1 year or so. Breeders of the CG centers are working very hard through Excellence in Breeding platform in order to modernize breeding programs for greater impact on food and nutrition security, climate change adaptation and development, in order to tackle the global challenge of feeding growing populations. So there is a big responsibility for the breeders in order to tackle this challenge. The launch of EBS marks a significant milestone for modern breeding of the CGIAR crops. This is aligned to the vision of Crops to End Hunger, was very supportive, and a step forward for the CGIAR centers for optimizing the breeding programs and providing the shared services to the CG-led breeding networks. So this launch of EBS represents revolutionary for the maize breeding program at IITA. As you know, for several years, breeders have been managing the breeding data using the spreadsheets and keeping hard copies. And we all know that, that's a very risky, because there is a big risk of losing data as it is not readily available to the institution and not easy to share. And also you cannot pass to the next generation when the data is in the form of spreadsheets. So EBS is a very big step, as it is an open source breeding informatics software and is a common platform for data management for the breeding programs at CGIAR. And IITA is, as you can see, is very much committed for the efficient data management for the breeding program, not only for maize, but for the other IITA crops as well. So IITA has already migrated all the data from 1989 into one EBS central system. And I'm very happy to say that from today, all maize data will be managed through the EBS platform, which is very effective and efficient. And as John mentioned in the starting, that EBS will be extended to the other IITA crops, including cowpea, soybean, banana, cassava, and yam. So this is a really a big milestone for IITA, not only for the maize breeding program, but for everyone. So in the end, I would like to thank Sarah Smith from GIZ, Gary Atkins from BMGF, USAID, USAID, and other donors for their message and support. And also our partners who are attending today, and colleagues from CIMMYT and IITA for attending the launch of the enterprise breeding system. In the end, I would also like to thank Tushar for being MC for this celebration. So thanks everyone, and have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Lena. I should also mention that Lena is also kind of heads the research quality component at IITA. And so it's actually really fitting coming from you that about the importance of data management and centralized data sharing, even from a quality perspective as well. So thank you very much, Lena. Thanks for those remarks. And yep, I would like to call upon the next colleague, Bunmi Bosi. Okay, all right. I understand there's some messages on the chat. Sorry, Bunmi, just give, but obviously you're giving the thanks. So let me first look at messages on the chat. Let's have a look. So message again from Michael, well done to all involved for a great launch event. Well done, especially achieving a successful hybrid event between in-person and virtual. Very much appreciated as one that unfortunately could not be there. Yes, we did miss your physical presence, but it's good that you could connect and take the time out. Congratulations, IITA Maize team on EBS launch. Great work by EIB. Looking forward to see EBS implemented for other crops. Godfrey Chigeza, who is our lead soybean breeder. Congratulations to the maize team, great milestone. As Edward Deming, so here we have a quote, without data, you're just another person with an opinion. Wow, how fitting. Yeah, so we want to move from opinion to evidence, basically. So that's very befitting. Thanks, Godfrey. Gabriel Oluwasun, congratulations to the maize team. Stefan Weber, again, before closing, once more, congratulations. Thanks for the opportunity, the great collaboration. And I'm really sad not being able to be there. Enjoy the cocktails. Yes, we're looking forward to them. Would have been great to have you here. Edie Paul, I echo Stefan's comments. Job well done by all of you. Hope there is music and dancing. Yes, there will be virtual fireworks as well. Sarah, well done on getting this system operationalized. I'm so looking forward to using it here at CIMMIT and can feel the excitement of my friends and colleagues at IITA. Thanks very much, Sarah, for those words. So, and thank you all for the comments. We really appreciate that. Next, I'd like to call upon my colleague, Bunmi Bosi, who's the research. Oops, hold on. We have one more comment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Tricia. I think on behalf of cassava, we want to congratulate you. And in Ghana, we mix maize and cassava and we prepare very good meal. So there's no way we'll be here and will not say a word. On behalf of cassava, we want to say congratulations and let there be continuous improvement between cassava base and whatever you have done. Thank you.
Super, thanks very much. That was, yep, okay, the camera's on her. That's Elizabeth Parks. She's the head of our cassava breeding program here at IITA. So for the third time now, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Bunmi Bosi. She's the part of the research data management team within the maize team, the maize crop improvement. And she's been very instrumental in all the work that we have been doing for the past 2 years in terms of generally managing the data, doing the curation, learning to be a trainer as a train the trainer. And we really appreciate a lot the role that Bunmi has played in this launch of the EBS. So thanks very much. And I invite you to give us a vote of thanks, please.
Thank you, Tricia. Good day, everyone, here in the conference center and also the online guests. A great appreciation to IITA management team, the EIB team, the wonderful collaboration from CIMMIT and our colleagues, the funders who have supported the actualization of this excellent inbreeding initiative that brought about the enterprise breeding system. We want to really thank you very much. I might not be able to mention all of you, the ERB, the ABI, the N4ETTS. I think the lady said breeding resources now, just to cut it short, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the CTEC and the GIZ. We want to appreciate you very much for your contributions. It's well appreciated. I want to thank the data management team, the IITA maize breeders for your tireless, timeless, and immense support to really bring this to a very great conclusion this afternoon. And I will not miss my vote of thanks without extending it to the teams that have made this possible for us, not in any order of priority. The ICT, the West African office, we want to appreciate Ms. Sylvia Onyelola, who has contributed so much in getting our digitization tools, promptly. The communication is superb. We thank you for organizing this. We thank you very much. And for others in the office, please extend our greetings to them and appreciation. We want to thank the communications unit. You've just been superb. We thank you. We want to thank the iHouse, the lunch, the tea breaks. We want to appreciate everyone. We want to thank the biometrics unit. I want to appreciate Ibnu. This week had really been very, very good and very educating. And we thank you for all the support. Like we said right there in the room, even though the fast is on, but he will be there from the beginning to the end. And there's no question that is too cheap or too advanced. He would break it down and make, the statistical tool to become very easy. We appreciate you. I want to thank all the other colleagues from the biometrics team. Relating with you guys this 3.5 days has really been awesome, and we look forward to more collaboration. Thank you so much. I want to thank the conference center team who has also made this event a successful one. I want to appreciate everyone. I want to thank the able photographer, Mr. Adebayo Olusegun. You've been wonderful. He's always there on time, catching all the funds and the moments. I want to really thank you. I want to thank the conference center man who had been there from the beginning. Sorry, I just can't remember your name now. Yeah, Mr. Nelson, thank you so much. It will be there before anybody arrives. The table is set, the projector is there, everything works well. We want to thank you for that great support. I hope I'm not missing out. Everyone would thank the wonderful ladies who came from the communication unit to have the interviews done promptly, and we thank you. Once again, congratulations to ITA Maize for the successful launch of the Enterprise Breeding System platform. It's really been wonderful, the journey so far, the last 2 years, and seeing today, it's really great and exciting. Thanks to Dr. John Derrera. I shouldn't forget that because you made things happen. Releasing the budget, and just giving a stamp to every request that was presented to you. Want to thank the BCMs, the able BCMs. When we have discussions during our sessions, we push it, and Simon will say, yeah, the BCM should go ahead and push that, and we see them, being implemented. I want to especially thank Kate, even though she said, no, don't mention me, but I will, because, please, a round of applause to Kate. Yeah. I told her there's really a wide gap between you seeing somebody and talking to somebody virtually and then having someone in person. She's really been awesome and wonderful. The training materials, your tireless moments, standing for hours, answering our questions and throwing more light. And I said, look at you, repetition enhances understanding. The more you do it, that's the power of replication in breeding. The more replicates, the more you can hold on to whatever result that comes out from your breeding work. So I want to thank everyone very, very much. Thank you so much. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, Bossy. Thanks for those. Thanks. Thank you to all the speakers, and thank you to everyone who's taken time out to join us both in presence and virtually. I think Bossy has already mentioned there was a lot behind the scenes, and she's tried to mention all the people who were involved. So once again, from all of us here to all of you, thank you very much. Have a good afternoon or good morning or good evening. And thank you all for joining us. So yeah, that's it.